And she said that, over a few years, that Diddy introduced her to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse that required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. She said Diddy would have other in the open like candy. And at first, Cassie was given prescriptions that he had gotten from his doctor in Miami, but eventually he ran out of pills, so he demanded that she would get her own prescriptions in her own name and then give those to him. Do you know about this at all?
Yeah.
Breaking news regarding Diddy's legal issues has taken an unexpected twist. Reports reveal that the FBI discovered surprising items inside his jail cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. These findings could completely alter the direction of his case, raising new questions about the extent of his alleged activities.
Filed not only against the defendant, but also against the person who is his friend or supporter who does threaten a witness. And that was the case in the R. Kelly criminal case as well.
In a third attempt to get out of jail and tell his trial, Combs is again offering a $50 million bond and promising strict home detention. His attorneys writing in a brief to a federal appeal court judge, quote, sensationalism surrounding his arrest has distorted bail analysis. Combs is due back in court.
The FBI reportedly found illegal substances hidden in Diddy's medicine bag inside his jail cell. This discovery could significantly impact his case, adding to the serious charges he already faces, including racketeering and trafficking. The presence of banned substances in his cell also raises new questions about his behavior while in custody.
This medicine bag would be everything that he need, all the Sierras, everything was in this medical bag right here. So, sometime I would get it and look at it and be like, what the fuck is all these for? But he definitely had some doctors in Miami that would write whatever you wanted. And it wouldn't all be in his name. It would be in his assistant's name and anybody else that was around him.
Did you ever take yourself?
I actually did.
Okay.
I actually did.
Keeping it honest, all right.
No, I'm going to keep it all the way honest. It was times where I was up 24 hours, 48 hours. And when you're around this type of situation, you try it. And I actually did try it. I took ecstasy at that time. And I found myself kind of staying up because of this. You know what I'm saying? And I had to get away from that. And I just stopped taking it. I wasn't hooked or nothing like that. I just stopped taking it.
After the FBI confiscated illicit substances from Diddy's jail cell, reports suggest that the music mogul is now facing severe withdrawal symptoms. Sources at the Metropolitan Detention Center indicate that he has been experiencing intense physical and mental distress since losing access to the medication.
Combs has reportedly been going through withdrawal symptoms since being incarcerated. I'm Dr. Frida, and here are 5 things to know about opioid withdrawal syndrome. 1. Opioids are medications or drugs that include fentanyl, Percocet, OxyContin, heroin, morphine. 2. Opioid withdrawal syndrome can be life-threatening. It can start as early as 4 hours after the last use of an opioid, but typically peaks at 48 to 72 hours after the last use. 3. Symptoms may include dilated pupils, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fast heart rate, high body temperature, tearing eyes, runny nose, goosebumps. 4. Treatment may include medications like methadone and anti-nausea and anti-diarrhea medicines. 5. If you suspect that you are going through opioid withdrawal, or if you just want to stop using opioids, consult your physician or an addiction specialist.
Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, has made explosive claims, stating that Diddy's substance issues date back years, specifically to his relationship with the late Kim Porter. According to Deal, Diddy's addiction was a closely guarded secret among his inner circle but reportedly intensified during his time with Porter. This revelation adds new context to the recent discovery of illicit substances in his jail cell, highlighting the depth of his struggle with addiction.
Just after the fight he had with Kim Porter? Yeah, that's the same time, man. That's the reason I knew that shit was serious, because that's what got Puff hooked on drugs.
But for the people that don't know the story, right, let the people know what led to, Kim Porter slashing Puffy wrist with a corkscrew.
Right. I get a call. It's on a Saturday. And it's from Kirk Burroughs and Paul. They were like, yo, Gene, Puff is by himself over at St. Luke's Hospital. I was like, yo, what happened? You say, yo, they say, yo, Gene, you gotta get over there because there ain't nobody, nobody there with him. Blase, this, that, and the third. So I rush over to St. Luke's Hospital. I see Kim, they in the emergency room. Flash my badge, I go up in there. She was in distress herself, whereas that she could have been in pain, she could have been hurting. It's a lot of crazy statements that have been made. And you gotta look at that interview that Jonathan Odie did, bro. You know what I'm saying? That was probably more damaging than Cassie. And that was more damaging than Cassie, because check this out. He said Diddy was transporting liquid cocaine on his private jet. Now, the DEA wasn't involved in this. It was the FBI and the Homeland Security, basically. That's because of the sex trafficking thing. But if they find any of that stuff in any one of his houses, there's a problem. Even if they find illegal guns. The constitutional right goes the right to bear arms, but he had to have licenses for that shit. So if anybody got illegal guns up in there, if they find any kind of drugs to a high amount, cocaine and weed, I don't think Diddy gonna get charged because what he did. He put everything in his kid's name.
In a previous interview, Diddy openly admitted to using psychedelic substances, sharing that he experimented with things like shrooms. He described these experiences as a means to boost his creativity and gain personal insight, framing his psychedelic use as a tool for spiritual and artistic growth. However, in light of the recent discoveries of illicit substances in his jail cell, these past admissions now appear more concerning.
Type of guy I'll try anything once with an ambulance outside. And I had an ambulance outside, and I went through the best process. I would not advise this. You have to be in the wave of just like into looking for what's past here sometimes to be into psychedelics. But it's something that I wouldn't recommend unless, you was using my man. I would not advise it to anybody, but I could just speak on my experiences. I took the chance.
I'm the kind of guy who tries things with an ambulance on standby, he shared. I went through a careful process, but honestly, I wouldn't advise it. Psychedelics aren't for everyone. You have to be in a certain mindset. It's not something I would recommend unless you truly understand what I'm saying. I took the risk myself, but I'd never suggest it to anyone else. I can only speak from my own experience.
Even one time I believe I went and picked up something in my name one time. You know what I'm saying?
Really? And then you gave it to Diddy?
And I just gave it to Diddy, yeah. But he would do that on the regular. So at that point, I thought it was because he was Diddy and just didn't want to go into CVS. But he had doctors that would just write him a prescription for whatever he wanted.
Do you think that Diddy at this time was
I know he was a junkie at this time.
Roger Bond claims that Diddy regularly used his connections to obtain prescription substances, often relying on doctors who would prescribe him whatever he wanted. Bond further alleges that Diddy frequently asked his former partner, Cassie, to bring him these medications, suggesting she may have unknowingly enabled his habit. These statements add another layer to the growing controversy surrounding Diddy's alleged substance use.
Diddy Combs will stand trial in May on his sex trafficking charges. A judge at a hearing in Manhattan set the trial date, also discussing a gag order imposed on prosecutors and the defense, telling them not to discuss the case or provide any material about the case to the media, to the public. They contend that the government leaked a damaging piece of evidence potentially against Combs when a videotape from 2016 was played on CNN earlier this year. That video shows Sean Combs and his then girlfriend Cassie in a hotel in Los Angeles. It had been a secret, private for many years, but then it came to the forefront and was played publicly on CNN. The defense contends that that tape was leaked by investigators. Prosecutors say they have no knowledge of any leak, and they refute the allegation that they were involved in any leaks. The judge says he will consider potentially having an evidentiary hearing to get to the bottom of that. That won't happen for some time. First, the defense and then the prosecution will submit paperwork outlining their positions on
As
this.
allegations against Diddy continue to mount, Young Miami now faces accusations of supplying him with pink cocaine, also known as 2CB, a potent synthetic hallucinogen that has recently gained popularity in certain party scenes. This latest claim adds further intrigue to the unfolding controversy surrounding Diddy's alleged substance use.
Young Miami has been accused of transporting pink cocaine to Diddy in new court documents. Plaintiff and the Combs Rico enterprise were rehearsing for something in the Westival in Virginia. The court filing reads, Plaintiff Jones personally witnessed Mr. Combs do a few lines of coke in his dressing room. Defendant Sean Combs wanted Tussie, but Brendan forgot it. So defendant Christina Coram called Young Miami, who then brought it on the private jet from Miami. Young Miami, Jade, and Daphne Joy were paid a monthly fee to work as Mr. Combs' sex workers and receive payment via wire transfer. I mean, the nigga's so gay he can't even do regular coke. It gotta be pink. I bet y'all gonna ignore the part where it says Young Miami was hired as his sex worker. I see why JT got the fuck on. I mean, after all, Young Miami did say I'll hold a brick for you, daddy. So is this a drug case or a sex case? This all makes sense why JT don't fuck with her. These stories getting more and more.
Allegations suggest that Young Miami, who has been romantically involved with Diddy, may have played a role in supplying him with this substance during their relationship. If these claims are accurate, they add another layer of complexity to Diddy's already scandalous legal troubles, revealing a troubling dynamic within his inner circle and highlighting his ongoing access to dangerous substances.
I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy, because that is a part of what happened here.
Wait a second, so Usher, Pink, Megan Fox, and a bunch of other celebrities are scrubbing all their information off of X, every tweet they've ever done. Well, that's very interesting. That's a rabbit hole in itself. But listen to what AOC is saying right here. They're coming for your free speech, y'all.
We're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false. And so that's something that
Diddy's infamous private parties have long sparked rumors and controversy, with new allegations suggesting that drug use was a common feature at these exclusive gatherings. Sources claim that Diddy often used various substances during these secretive events, which were known for their high-profile guest lists and described as wild and unrestrained. It is alleged that drugs were used openly by both Diddy and other attendees. Recently, Diddy was arrested following a grand jury indictment on serious charges, including racketeering, trafficking, and other criminal activities that have reportedly been ongoing for over a decade.
Diddy Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trent reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called Hell on Earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released. They told the judge the jail he was being sent to is dreadful, dirty, inhuman, and an ongoing tragedy.
How's your dad doing? How's your dad doing?
Family members appeared somber as they...
Allegations claim that Diddy exploited his extensive entertainment empire to run illegal operations, including trafficking individuals for personal gain. His arrest has shocked the entertainment industry, especially following reports of federal investigations and property raids leading up to his detention. Diddy is currently incarcerated at the Metropolitan Detention Center MDC in Brooklyn, the same facility where R. Kelly was previously held, as he faces serious legal troubles linked to his infamous parties.
No way, this trial ain't gonna happen in May? It's unlikely, especially if there's a superseding indictment involving minors, because minors present a completely different set of circumstances. Because we know through his lawyers, Combs is arguing that the sexual activity happened, but it was consensual. Of course, for sex trafficking, you need one of those three elements: force, fraud, or coercion. Obviously, minors cannot consent to any sexual activity, so that would be a very different defense entirely. The defense would have to be that the activity didn't happen at all and the individuals are lying. So I think that's going to be the potential game changer if we do get the minors wrapped up into a superseding indictment. And we know, at least if you believe the civil attorneys, there are 25 minor victims, one of which is as young as 9.
And those suits haven't been filed yet, but that's what Tony Busby, this Texas attorney, has indicated that we should expect to see in these lawsuits. Elizabeth, I want to go to you. So as our other Elizabeth said, there was nothing about bail. And that's not surprising, because that issue of bail has now been appealed to a different court, to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. I was going over the paperwork from Sean Combs' attorneys. We have two questions about that. Number one, from Simply Sarah on YouTube, his lawyer did file bail paperwork. Yes. This is the second question. This is from Simply Sarah. Oh, Simply Sarah had two bail questions. Second one is, was this his last chance for bail? Meaning the paperwork that he just filed.
Yeah, so they filed paperwork basically appealing the decision of the two prior judges denying him bail to the Second Circuit. And, technically, if they're denied, they do have another higher court, the U.S. Supreme Court, to go to, but I think that's very unlikely. I think this would be the final stop, them appealing to the Second Circuit.
What do you think of his arguments? And let me just lay out what some of these arguments are. So first, they say, we have presented a very attractive bail package. We have put $50 million secured by two properties, 24/7 security monitoring from an outside security firm, no access to phone, no access to internet, visitor logs, whatever other conditions you want to put. And they also said in their paperwork, Sean Combs knew he was under investigation since January. His attorneys immediately reached out to the Southern District of New York, even before there were raids.
The jail is known for its harsh and inhumane conditions, which have drawn criticism from various advocacy groups. Reports indicate that Diddy is facing health issues and severe withdrawal symptoms after his medications were taken away, raising concerns about how he is being treated in this overcrowded facility. Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former fixer, spent a challenging year in federal custody and has spoken about the brutal realities of prison life. For someone like Diddy, who is accustomed to a life of luxury, adjusting to prison would be a major shock.
Acknowledged that his mother, Janice Combs, came from Florida for her son, and that his kids also traveled to be in the same courtroom with him. Combs' attorney, Anthony Rico, sat by his side throughout the proceeding. He's handling the appeal of his bail denial, which is a separate case in the appeals court.
He's making an adjustment. He had his family here today to support him. We really want to put an end to all of the clowning that we see on the internet. This is a serious proceeding with serious consequences.
The judge set a trial date of May 5th, 2025. The lead federal prosecutor took issue with Combs' attorney Mark Agnifillo's extensive comments in a TMZ documentary, alleging the government was guilty of racial bias and targeting Combs. Agnifillo complained about government leaks to the media. The result was a mutual gag order.
I made a request for the judge to issue what we call the gag order, and the judge is going to issue it on a reciprocal basis. So I'm not going to say anything that I didn't say in my papers and in court.
Women's rights attorney Gloria Allred represents some of the accusers of Combs in civil cases and spoke outside the court.
It's challenging because for many of them, remembering what they allege he did to them is triggering and traumatizing.
Cohen describes the stark realities of prison life, highlighting the significant differences for inmates. Each person has a desk, a plastic chair, and a bed with just a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow included. They also have a small locker and only 3 feet by 5 feet of personal space to move around, confined to just 15 square feet. Cohen stresses that the environment is truly grim. Recently, Diddy was seen outside the courthouse, drawing significant public attention, as reported by BBC journalists on the scene. He wore a jail-issued khaki jumpsuit and ankle shackles, a far cry from his usual image as a high-profile music mogul. During this court appearance, a judge set a trial date for May 5th, marking an important milestone in the legal case against him.
Able to speak to your son.
What did you say to him when you visited him in court? Is he doing...
scheduled for his next court appearance on December 18, 2024. This crucial date will be significant as his legal case progresses following his September arrest and the serious charges against him. He is currently held at the Metropolitan Detention Center (MDC), awaiting a trial that may not begin until next year. Reports indicate that conditions in the facility are terrible, with issues like maggots and mice due to overcrowding. As the MCC closes, inmates are being transferred, and there are rumors that Diddy could be moved to a facility in New York soon.
You say his fame makes him a target.
Yes, in my humble estimation, his life, his safety is in jeopardy in any correctional lockup right now. If it is true, as reported, that he is housed in the special housing unit, it's important to note that the special housing unit is a lockdown, 24-hour lockdown unit. The MDC Brooklyn is a high-rise. The vast majority of the floors are general population floors. But the special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown facility. So this is for Mr. Combs' protection. His incredible worldwide celebrity combined with the allegations, the charges now, an indictment, of course, of acts of violence against women make him a very attractive target. So obviously they need to safeguard him.
What are your thoughts on the recent revelations about Diddy's time in jail and their potential impact on his upcoming court appearance? Share your views in the comments.